Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Fridays with Sandy. We have Sandy Kreisberg, HBSGuru.com founder and the master of MBA admissions here on the line.
Hola, everybody. Glad to meet you.
And we have a great candidate here, Melody, who is a consultant with Accenture. She has a 3.6 undergrad degree in economics from UCLA, a public Ivy, and went immediately to work for Accenture. And she's taken the GRE. She's taken it twice. She has a score of 325 with a 163 quant, which is obviously the quant score is what everyone really tends to look at. And she wants to get an MBA, and her target schools are Wharton, Columbia, London Business School, Chicago Booth, and MIT Sloan. So what do you say, Sandy?
In our pre-interview, we've got some very interesting statistics. Tell us about your group at Accenture, the Enterprise Strategy Group at Accenture. How many kids apply to business school a year from your group?
So within my group, quite a number of folks apply to business school. Those who actually get in, they get into a wide variety of schools, Wharton, and a couple of others on my list being among them.
Can we get it a little tighter than that? Like how many? This is not secret information, is it? How many people are in your group?
So in my particular practice, we have about 40 people at my level, about a dozen. And for those who apply to business school, I'm guessing about 3 or 4 do apply
a year. So
yeah.
that's kind of your peer group. And then how many of those people go to Wharton? Do you know how many people went to Wharton from your group? The last time you know.
The last time that I heard, I'm guessing it's about under 10.
In 1 year?
Yeah.
I thought you said only 4 people apply a year.
Yeah, so I think, in the last year, about 2 or 3 got in.
Okay, that's important. So then that's lightning in a bottle, okay? You're part of a group. You want to go to Wharton. 3, 4, 5 people apply every year, and about half of them get in. So, that joke about 2 guys are running away from a bear, you know that joke, John?
No, I don't.
2 guys are running away from a bear, and one guy says to the other, I hope we can outrun this bear. And the other guy says, I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you.
Yes, that can be true. Very good.
Well, my point is, that's a jokey way of saying you're competing with the 4 or 5 people a year from your group who apply to Wharton. Isn't that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Look, I'm sure the other people are wonderful people. I just want to get the frame here.
And more than that, she's competing in the consulting pool, right?
That's true too.
So candidates from other consulting firms. The statistics show that consulting is still a male-dominated field. So the fact that she's a woman in a highly intensive industry is a real.
Hey, Melody, what's the gender breakdown of your group now?
I think the gender breakdown is about 50-50.
Yikers. Accenture's done a very good job there.
Yeah, it is changing, particularly among the younger crew. But if you were to look at people in leadership positions and partners and things like that, it's still a problem. But the consulting firms kind of get it, and they're trying to fix it.
Yeah, that's good for the world. I'm concerned about admission. So what I'm really concerned about is who her peer group is. So the gender breakdown there is 50-50. But so I don't think you're getting a lot of plus points for being a woman, because they've got a lot of women applying. That's my only point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So her GPA is right on the class average at Wharton, and her GRE is currently above the class average at Wharton. The class average is 322, and she's at 325, 3 points. And in the GRE, those points are pretty significant 3 points.
Wow, John, pat yourself on the back.
And
Yeah.
she's got a degree from a public Ivy, which is consequential as well. The other thing that I think is interesting here, and I think that really needs to be emphasized, is your progression at Accenture. You've had 2 promotions, and this year you're up for a 3rd promotion. That should be way high up. And the fact that you're basically convening with CEOs of companies and Accenture feels confident enough to put you in those situations is a very big positive in your application, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's impressive. Who can you get to write? Who can you get to capture that in your recommendations? You don't have to name the person, but just the position.
Yeah, so the person that I'm hoping to write my letter of recommendation is a senior manager in my practice who has worked with me very closely for a number of years. I reported directly to him on a project for about a year and a half, and he currently oversees a lot of the work I'm doing to continue building the practice and grow the community.
Okay, so that's great. And then who could you get to write a second recommendation?
So the second letter of recommendation I'm hoping to get is another senior manager who oversees the women's ERG that I am a lead for. Since I worked with her for a number of years building the women's community at Accenture, and she's been a great leader in helping me guide through that.
Yeah, okay, John, here's a tough question. Do you think one of those people, do you think a recommendation from a client might be better than 2 from the firm?
In general, yes, but because of Melody's involvement in this initiative to advance women at the firm, I think that just, strikes a resonant chord.
You drank your coffee this morning, John. You're doing great, man. The other important thing that really helps a lot is the possibility of sponsorship. Melody, tell us about Accenture's program for sponsoring MBAs.
Yeah, so the Accenture Scholars Program can sponsor candidates who get into a certain list of schools to which I am applying to. And with that sponsorship program, it's conditional on returning for 2 years, but they'll cover the tuition aspect of schooling.
And let me ask another question. Melody, are you in the Bay Area? Obviously, I wonder if, the Golden Gate Bridge behind you is emblematic of something more than your location, or is it about your location?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is my location. I currently live in San Francisco.
That's a big plus for Wharton because, it's an East Coast school with a finance sort of slant, and they love people from California who might want to come there. That's a significant, oddly, a significant factor in your application.
It's good to know.
Because I'm assuming that many of your clients are in the tech space.
Yes, in the Bay Area.
Location. So Wharton will like that very much.
You list as an interest donut vase building.
Yeah, what is?
Yes, so I make ceramic pieces as part of a ceramic studio in my community, and one of the projects I've been working on is making donut vases. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you've been to West Elm or Anthropology, they have them for about $60 a pop. But they're these really awesome vases in the shape of a donut, and it's really great as home decor pieces. And I really like making those. It's been a work in progress.
What kind of donut?
Like not edible, sadly, but ceramic ones that are functional and they look great on your shelf.
Sandy's wondering, is it a jelly donut, a chocolate donut?
No, Sandy's wondering whether it's a jelly donut or a donut with a hole in it.
It is not a donut hole, but it's circular donut with a hole in it. The hole's not filled.
Right, exactly. Yeah, okay, I got it now.
You need one of those for your apartment, Sandy.
Yeah, that's true. What I need to do is get out all the old donuts, not the vase kind, the Dunkin' kind.
So what can Melody do to get into what may be a stretch school like a Wharton or an MIT Sloan, in terms of portraying herself?
This is a case where she's on the borderline for stats. So she has to, this is a case where execution really matters.
Mhm.
She's, as you pointed out, she's got some great things. Like she's worked with CEOs, she's had rapid advancement, she's had escalating responsibilities, she's been on a fast track. A lot of readers of this resume may not realize that. So your job, Melody, is to both train your job one, is to train your recommenders to say that. Okay. Your recommenders have to say, I've worked with, I've been here for 15 years and I've worked with 50 people who've gone on to business school. And Melody is one of the one of the people who's received the most accelerated advancement. And that's been based on 1, 2, and 3. Recommenders usually don't think that analytically and that specifically, but you have to prepare your recommenders with a brag sheet and tell them you've spoken to people who know the game and they believe this is the most impactful type of recommendation.
Yeah, this is a really good advice, Melody, because what it will do is reinforce your own narrative. Because admissions people want further confirmation. In other words, they're going to listen to your story, they're going to hear your story, they're going to believe your story, but then to hear it from a third party gives it much more credence and much more weight.
John, you've got some amazing statistics. Can you tell us about where Accenture stands as a feeder firm?
Yeah, our analysis shows that it's in the top 10 of company feeders to Wharton.
Okay, stop right there. I don't want that to get lost.
Yeah.
You have done an analysis and you know which companies send people to Wharton, okay? That is amazing data. Who did you steal that from?
We searched LinkedIn profiles and Facebook profiles of an incoming class to determine who, in fact, where they came
so
from.
you've done some amazing spade work to come up with this information. Okay,
It took many hours.
Many hours of real donkey work.
Yeah,
So
it is donkey work.
drum roll, please. John is going to tell us. What are you going to tell us, John?
Well, in our analysis in a class, 9 incoming MBAs came from Accenture, and that puts them in the top 10. That's a lot fewer than McKinsey, 47, BCG, 39, Bain, 26, Goldman.
Okay, we're losing the big picture. What you're telling us are people who go to Wharton Business School. You're telling us where they worked before then, right?
Right.
Okay, now that people are aware of that, tell us where people worked before going to Wharton.
Okay, so McKinsey number 1, BCG number 2.
How many?
Okay, 47 from McKinsey, 39 from BCG, 26 from Bain, 17 from both Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, 16 from Morgan Stanley, 12 from Deloitte, 12 from the US Army, 12 from Booz and Company, 9 from Barclays Bank, 9 from Accenture, 9 from Oliver Wyman, 8 from Google, 8 from LEK Consulting, 6 from American Express, 6 from Deutsche Bank, 6 from UBS, 6 from Microsoft, 5 from Procter & Gamble, 5 from the World Bank, 5 from Monitor Group, 5 from...
Okay, we got it. Thank you. Okay, that's an amazing list. Now that's proprietary information because you did all that donkey work, right?
Right. And what it tells you is that Accenture's on your resume is going to help you. That's what it tells you.
Why?
Because they respect the firm. They believe it's highly selective enough to be in their top 10. And it's a plus.
Good. That's great. That's great information. All right.
And thanks, John.
Yeah, well, you did it. You did all the work. You did, and it's all your accomplishment.
I think you're okay. So let's do your odds here. Okay. I think based on your stats and your impressive resume, your career advancement, I think you should get into Booth and LBS. And what about Columbia, John? Do you think they may blink at the stats being?
I think I think they'll like Melody a lot. Again, I think part of this is the New York, California thing.
That's a good point. But
Yeah.
she's not bringing what we call a stats dowry, right?
No, but luckily it's in the GRE, and therefore it's less consequential for Columbia and Wharton than a GMAT score.
Because it's not going to hurt them with US News.
If it hurts them, it won't be evident. Let me put it
Yes.
that way.
Okay.
Because GREs do figure into the US News ranking, but it's unclear how much weight they're given and how US News does that formula. So I think most admission officers aren't as overly concerned about GRE scores than they are GMATs.
If you don't understand that, Melody, don't worry. It's deep. It's
We're in
deep,
the weeds, you know, we're in the weeds. We're
deep
nerdy
inside
about
baseball.
this, okay?
I'm just glad to hear they won't be worried.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And
So-
like I said, you're above Wharton's average. On the GRE.
Your case depends on execution. And then you might say, well, geez, Andy, isn't that true with everybody? No, it's not. Some people just have to not make mistakes. Some people who are very powerful stats, very powerful resume, very powerful GRE and standardized test score, when they apply, they just have to do no harm. They don't have to screw them. Yeah, that's what I tell them. You're not those people. You're in the second group of people who have to, you're like these little chickadees who have to, get fed and go, meh, 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 meh. You got to make noise. And, you know what I'm talking about?
That's why you got to
Yeah.
really work your progress and your accomplishments at Accenture.
You really got to execute the application.
Yeah.
And you've got to execute the application and tutor have your recommenders really on your side. You've got to tutor them. You've got to say, this is what you've got to write.
So let's assume she does that. What are her odds at Wharton and MIT Sloan, which would be the two tougher schools on the list?
MIT is going to find this it's going to find it silver, not gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're smaller and they're snobbier. Okay.
I think that's true. I see you getting into Wharton before I see you getting into MIT Sloan.
Yeah. Wharton, I think your chances with real strong execution, both for you, the application, and your recommenders, Wharton, your chances are like 30%, which is 35%.
Yeah, which is pretty good. Because remember,
it's hard to get into.
And you're competing in a pool where like 85% of the people are highly qualified to go and do well. So that's always the tricky thing. And it's also why admissions at this level are so random in many
Yeah, and it's lottery-like at a certain point.
Yeah, that's true. Now, do you think Melody should apply to any other schools? And I know, you're probably saying to yourself, Melody, oh my God, I've got enough work to do here already. I've got a demanding job. It's how can I do that? But what do you think, Sandy? Should she be applying to Dartmouth, Tuck, and
Yeah,
UVA?
Tuck and Kellogg. Go for
Kellogg, yeah.
Kellogg and Tuck. Do you really want to go to LBS?
You know what
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, London's a great place.
What job do you want when you get back? Or you're going to be sponsored, so it doesn't make a difference? In theory.
I think the urban aspects of the schools on my list make it very attractive. So Tuck is great, but I think location-wise, not as appealing for me.
So you see yourself more in a city, number one, and you seem to be looking at more quantity schools, because Wharton, Columbia, MIT, and Booth are a bit more quantity. So maybe you're a quant and not a poet. Although
Good one, John.
your ceramics and donut making of vases suggest otherwise.
I like
I
to have a
don't
little
know.
bit of both.
Let me say something. This, in general, I don't buy this city school thing. You're going to a business school. You could spend 2 years at Columbia and see very little of New York. And my guess is that's what happens. What you do is you just get swept up. You get swept up in your subculture of business school students, and you see, one Broadway play and go whoopee. And you might have, more restaurant opportunities, but I don't buy this urban advantage.
Kellogg would be a good option for you, Melody. And obviously they're in Evanston, but they're only 20 minutes from Chicago or less, really. And it'd be a great place. I think it'd be worthwhile at least to shoot them an application in this game.
Yeah. Okay.
Got
So
it.
lots going on, but Melody, you got to execute. You really have to beat up your recommenders and tell your story
I
through
think
your
if
application.
puts Melody in front of CEO clients, she has the diplomacy and the finesse to handle her recommenders.
That's
a little
so.
different.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, John.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's different. I know, and it's a subtle kind of thing.
She's asking her recommenders to do her a favor. She
Yeah.
wasn't asking the CEOs to do her a favor.
That's true. She's on assignment. I'm sure she's not getting their business. That goes to the other rainmakers in the firm.
Right.
All right. So 35% shot at Wharton. I'm saying you're going to get into Wharton if, just as Sandy notes, if you execute well. And what execution well is really the two things Sandy said. Telling your story of advancement at Accenture and the increasing responsibilities you've had, as well as the exposure to high-level clients. It's very meaningful. And then the second piece is getting your recommenders to basically reinforce the narrative that you're telling the school, which is true, but you want to get them to line up with that.
Okay, one more thing. Recruiting and retention, as an extra, you say you're the recruiting and retention lead at the Accenture Women's Employee Resource Group.
Which is a big deal.
Yes, that's correct.
Really
That's a big deal. I don't think extras have much of an impact, particularly extras that are career-based. Extras that usually have an impact are events that have an impact beyond yourself. So if you're helping, people, in Africa, fight the drought, that's an extra schools admire because it's not helping you. But in this case, you could make a case for being a lead woman at Accenture and have that backed by your recommenders.
Yeah, so one of my
recommenders
is my lead for that ERG. So I'm
Great,
hoping she'll
yeah.
speak to that point a lot.
The recommenders have to say, she's very impressive and she is one of the most impressive and impactful women we've had at this firm. That's what they got to say.
Yep. All right, Melody, see you in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, John.
Adios.
Good luck to you. And thank you, Sandy. And for all of you out there, thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.